the intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Welcome back, Star Trek Fleet Command fans. In today's video, we're going to change things up a little bit because, one, I want to kind of do my personal rankings of the specialty ships that go from about 30 to 50 right now. But at the same time, I want to open the floor, go ahead and say right now at the very beginning, you give your own in the comment section down below. Like, truly rate them yourself. That way players can see a variety of viewpoints. And the second point that I'm actually going to hit on first is Scopely really needs to change how they do ships in the game. Now, I'll be very specific of what I mean by that because I have certain expectations. And you look at, here's my docs. I actually have them kind of sorted by how I'm going to talk about them. We got the Talios, the Voyager, the Defiant, the Gilded Pickle / Monavine. And there's some good value here, but there's also a lot of grinds and time and investment in the game, whether it's financial or simply with time alone. There's a lot here, and even here we talk about like sourcing being an issue in varying degrees. But let me hit my first point before I get into my rating of which ship is the best, etc., and why, and my logic behind them. Number one, I think the game has to change how they're doing these specialty ships. I get why they do them, because they want to make money. Look, we get it.
Money, 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 money.
Game wants to make money. Cool, I understand. It's a game, but it's still a business. I get that. But at the same time, we've certainly look at this. Talios, that's this year. Voyager, that's this year. Defiant is about this time last year. Gilded Pickle, couple weeks ago. Mantis, semi-recent. That's when Strange New Worlds was here. Amalgam, Cerritos, Titan, which isn't even featured on the screen feature. These are all relatively recent. We've had like 4 of these things this year. And the style that they're doing is, they're ops gated, and there's just things need to change in the style. So this goes back to something I've actually been talking about for quite some time. This is a piece of a conversation that I was having with one of the dev 2 years ago before the Enterprise D came out. I said, look, if the Enterprise D is what I want, and remember, this is before G5 launched, my recommendation was that the Enterprise D, which would have been level 60, would have come out, and I tried to shoot that you get it around like level 35, you use it at G3, G4, and G5, and it's the strongest ship in the game at each level. My theory was players would love and enjoy and invest in something that had a long-term value for them. Now, I will give them credit that some of the ships they've done kind of do that, just not to the same degree. There's still problems with that strategy. For example, the Talios. This is by far of the current specialty ships the strongest towards the end of the game. So mine's at tier 8 right now here at level 49. I'm working on leveling it up, but you've seen these things flying around being over 200 million in strength. At tier 12, they are the strongest specialty ship long-term, but it's a lot of time and investment to get there. And the biggest thing is that the locks are just kind of weird. The way that they'll time gate these things are really odd. Now, why do I think it's so valuable? Not only is it an amazing combat ship, which, yes, you can go ahead and admit and acknowledge Rev's bias towards OPC hunting, which is what I do with this thing a lot. Y'all have seen me OPC hunt with my Talios and my Vidar for a very long time. But in terms of like ships in the 30s, 40s, etc., those special ships, I think it has a lot of value as a combat ship. But the big thing is it's not limited to its role. And that's another key for what Star Trek Fleet Command has to get with these specialty ships, where they got to stop being specialty ships. Like, what makes the Talios great is it's honestly not a specialty ship. Yes, it's for fighting the Borg, but you can do it whatever you want. I mean, you can actually take this to a regular armada if you want. There are times where it might be the strongest ship you have, especially, let's say that you were free to play at my level, right? So this account that you're looking at, level 49, is not free to play. So it has a pylon that's about 46 million right now at level 49 and at tier 8. But there are going to be players, especially if you're going pure free to play, where you need these to be your workhorses, where the Talios can be your strongest ship at, say, level 42. I'm not saying it should be, but I'm saying it can be. They have to be able to operate outside the scope of just the specialty, which is also why some of the ships at the very end are at the very end. Curious? Yes. Using my docs, here's my ratings personally on what the best ships for specialty going through the 30s and 40s are right now. Talios, Voyager, Defiant, Gilded Pickle, Mantis, Amalgam, Cerritos, and then the Fuchsia. Now, I'll go ahead and say real quickly, in my personal opinion, if you're a pure free-to-play player, this one deserves to be a lot higher in your rankings. I'm acknowledging that my rankings are to my playstyle. Now, I still turn these in every week, but I'm not like dedicated to concentrated Latinum, but it is great to get that Latinum as a source, especially as a free-to-play player. The Fuchsia plus your away teams are a fantastic way for you to get that resource to then pay for your commons and your speed ups and things like that. But it's at the end here, and then if I had to give you one last one, at the very end, the very last would be the Titan. Not that the Titan has no use in the game, I just think it's the least useful. I mean, a Titan can be great for the, acknowledge the entire system, right? You can have that cool ship ability where you can spread out fortification, which I do think is neat, but it's like you're not using that every day. So let me talk about why I think these are valuable, and to reinforce basically what I said 2 years ago, when they start making new ships that aren't faction-based, because number one, I think they need to release new faction ships. Like, there should be more level 28 faction ships. There should be more level 34 faction ships. There should be more level 46 faction ships. They should actually release more of what's in the Star Trek, ethos, as well as make your own stuff. Kind of like what Star Trek Online has done for over a decade, and it's worked out really well for them. So, that being point number one, but let's talk about why I rank these as valuable as I do, and hopefully the next ship that comes out isn't really Speciality, and you can use it your entire gaming career, or at least until they come out data in this game. Point being, Talios, you're going to use a long time. If you're a free-to-play or a spender, this is something that's going to last months to years, as well as having the refinery that's going to give you independent credits, which is still a very important need of sourcing. It helps you source the Borg officers, which, important, still a very good group. That Armada loop, and look, I'm not saying, by the way, 6-7 minutes in this video that I'm agreeing with all the grinds that these ships have. I'm simply speaking to their value, and the ability to get independent credits and things makes this a very valuable one. And then I'll follow that directly with the Voyager. Even though it has the most convoluted loop out of all of them, the biggest reason I give the Voyager second place in my importance list is usability as a hostile grinder. It is outside of its scope of just fighting the Dairy Queen DQ space group. 2, ship parts. It helps with the biggest bottleneck in G4 and G5 with giving you ship parts. It also speeds up the Fuchsia, the Amalgam, etc., because you can turn in those commerce insignias for that as well. And that doesn't include what it can do for your other things, such as the Defiant on my number 3. Good special ship for armadas. It can work outside of that, though not as effectively as the previous two. But in terms of giving you things, ship parts and uncommons, the Defiant and the Bajoran Research is right up there at the very top. These three are neck and neck for the most important in the game. And again, I just remind you, even that Voyager refinery has a lot of good in it in here with the artifacts. So we can bring up the artifact thing. So here we have the Defiant is my number 3 in terms of value. Now, if you're listening, what does this mean? This means if you're going to focus on them, these are the top 3 to focus on. Now, the Monavine is something worth focusing on, but with it being part of that kind of 40 plus rush with the Voyager, its level of importance, it really takes off. You're going to enjoy it in the 50s. I'm not saying it's bad now, but mostly its value is for later in the game, but you can't negate its value. And I will give it a little bit of a bump. The reason it's higher up on my place here is because it does have a very passive style of loop. Like, you can auto grind it. Now, if you're trying to do the field training, you still got to go field train 3,000 hostile kills. But I think a lot of players like the passive style that it works to go and do its grind. So that gets a little bit of love. Then you have the Mantis. The Mantis, even though it is the definition of specialty, you cannot use the Mantis really outside of its niche. It is the path, and it is an extremely good path to Syndicate XP and the Strange New World officers. You get this in the early 30s, and it is a focal point. You really want to go after this and invest in it because you want to unlock those Strange New World officers, which are your big officers for grinding PvE later in the game, as well as speeding up your Syndicate XP acquisition. I cannot stress enough. Hopefully those in the comments below will also agree. It is so important to get this for Syndicate XP. That is huge. Then you move on to the Amalgam, which I'll be honest, again, this comes back to me being a PvP and a raider. This is fantastic. It's definitely my most used ship during incursions, and I know not everybody likes incursions. Go ahead and throw your comments of not only your rankings, but I hate to look down. I know it's there, but go ahead and throw your hate for incursions down below too, everybody. But it also has value in terms of if you want to unlock ship skins, and the Voyager has actually made this a little bit more valuable, as well as some research where you can actually speed up that bottleneck. Then have the Cerritos, and I do enjoy the individual buffs, but again, this thing is useless outside of its normal run. You're only going to use it for its events on Wednesday. You don't even need to use it for the events on Wednesday, and upgrading it. Then you're just going to use it to source the officers for lower decks, which are good, but the best lower deck officers that we really tell you to get, mainly Tendy, well, they're in transporter patterns. So you're not as reliant on this for the officers either. So yeah, it will help you in solo armadas. I'm just saying level of importance. I wouldn't be surprised if this is where I start seeing people put Fichas, right? Like above the Amalgam, above the Cerritos, etc. Then you've got my Ficha, and then last, but certainly not least, actually exactly least. Yeah, literally least. No, this is least. Franklin A. At the moment, completely pointless. Since X-Borg has become a thing at 38 plus, this is pointless. You could build it, it's pretty. Literally pointless. I guess that's good. X-Borg got rid of a specialty ship. I mean, it's still there, but you literally don't need it. X-Borg handles all that for you because of the sweeps. But that is also kind of useless. I mean, Cerritos more important. It does have some great research for the Cerritos. But yeah, there's my list. The big key is, though, one, these are the order I would focus on in terms of importance. Because the truth is, there's only so much time in a day. And if you have to pick what you're going into, this is how I pick. Like, I make sure this is done every day, then that's done, then that's done. Basically, the first 4, I guarantee I do daily. The last 4, I do when I feel like it, and I do when I think about it, usually when chat reminds me. That's how I'm working out. And then just one more time to remind the game, because I told this to y'all years ago, you need to start going along this path. When you bring out ships that aren't factions, they need to be able to carry us throughout the entirety of our game and not have stupid locks that don't let you progress past like tier 1 at level 35. Like, it needs to be comparable to what we're currently playing with. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Live long and plunder. Stay safe for the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Some really good feedback has actually come from y'all's comments to the dev team. And hopefully we're going to end the year strong. We'll see.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.